Hi, everyone. We're gathering Mel and Nat and Vivienne from Cantabria, Africa. We're all embarking on a wonderful adventure into Africa for our safari retreat this November. We realize there will be lots of questions, so we wanted to create an opportunity where we could all discuss a little bit more and give everyone a sense of who they'll be traveling with. Myself as host, I'm Gayle Higginbotham. I have a small travel curator based in New York, and I will be hosting this retreat. My function will be to make sure that you're comfortable, you feel safe the whole way through. If you're cold and need a jumper, I'll be on lookout to see if that's true, and how I can help. If you're feeling any anxiety, that's my job. And also to support Nathalie Sommer, who is a transformational coach, and Melanie and Nathalie, who is a movement practitioner. They have a modality of working together, which I have personally experienced and benefited from. So I speak with firsthand knowledge of how effective their program is. And I'm hugely excited and privileged to have been able to facilitate their work in Africa. And then my partner in making this entire trip possible, Vivienne Temba, owner of Cantabria Africa, who will be our in-territory host for the entire duration of the retreat. So we'll get straight into it, and I'll hand over to Nathalie and Mel, who will tell us a little bit more about the program and what the objectives will be and what you can expect from their care as the retreat portion of this. We'll then take you through the itinerary itself and what you can expect from the safari aspect. And then we'll try and address some of the questions that we think you might have. So I'll hand over to Nathalie.
For us, creating retreats is giving people a space to come and just meet themselves in a more honest, safe, and loving and caring way. Because many of us can feel stuck or uncertain, and we get so caught up in everyday life that we often lose the bigger picture of what is actually really needed. So being able to go to a retreat gives you the space and opportunity to recharge and just to go inwards and feel what is actually more true to ourselves without the daily distractions. And then to do it in nature, it just makes it so much more powerful. And we are really excited to be able to do this in Africa, which, of course, going on safaris, many people's dreams. And then to combine it together with a retreat where you're not just going to travel, but you just get to enjoy the moments so much more beautifully and consciously. It just creates this deeper transformation. And that's why I feel this is going to be a beautiful and very unique experience, because you get to have safari, but also you get to meet yourself in a deeper way and experience transformation, but also get clarity, because when we are more connection with ourselves, we know what feels true and right for ourselves. And that's really the experience what we want people to have.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, Nathalie has mentioned a lot already, and we've been creating spaces for quite a long time together. And it's always very magical to experience what change is happening, especially if there's space and time to just be, to release, because we sometimes and often have a lot to release, and from there to transform. And what we feel is very important, to give tools that you can take with you into your daily life, so you can really integrate what you've learned about yourself, and to really just fully express yourself. And something, something very profound also is because we're often in our mind, and with the practices that we offer, there you really go into your body. So there's a lot of embodiment practices where you just get to experience on another level, and that's that can be very, very profound and can help you to continue your path the way you wish it to continue. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm.
So what your experience will journey back, because sometimes you just need to see actually how have I been showing up in life and how have I been feeling, actually what's working for me, what's not working. So we'll go journey back. And then we come into the present moment, actually, what do I really want and what do I really need? We address that. And then we look at how we can integrate and move forward and just live a life more truthfully to ourselves. So we'll give, like Mel mentioned, lots of different tools and practices. So then you have this, basically this buffet that you will learn so many new things that you can then integrate into your everyday life. And you have this safety net that you can lean into that nobody really has taught us before. And we use different tools like movement practices, like Mel mentioned, self-inquiry. It's all trauma-informed and just helping you just to feel very held, safe, and supported, so you can just access those deeper parts through different practices.
Yes. And also what we're being asked many times, well, what exactly do you do? Those practices. And then also there might be like guided meditation. There's going to be some sharing where we share in a group. So it's a very beautiful experience individually, but also being in a group and feeling seen and being heard. That's a very profound, powerful experience that can support a lot on a journey wherever you are.
Yeah. And exactly what you just said, I think that's what makes retreats so powerful, because we can come together and we all have our stories, we all have our struggles, and often we feel quite alone in them. So everybody comes together with a story. Maybe the story is different, but we all have the same emotions. So experiences in a safe environment, we can really drop our masks and just be ourselves. And when we feel held and cared for and supported, we become so much more courageous to then implement or change what we really want.
I love that. And I know as both a retreat client, but also being on safari, the lessons that you learn from being in the wild, that the wild presents to you as you journey through, they come at you. And I think one of the benefits to combining a safari with a retreat is that you can harness those thoughts and learnings that you have often in a way that you can't anticipate, but to then have the opportunity to consolidate those experiences when you return back to camp, and then also remember and have a modality to take those experiences back with you and actually impact and affect change when you get home. I think that is a very powerful experience, and very one that I feel sometimes is missing when I travel. The other thing is that, and you know, thank you, Mel and Nathalie, for showing that the environment that we're planning to create, and that this trip is very mindful of, is creating a safe space, both in your experience, in your going in to yourself and connecting with yourself, but also in your surroundings. That's what Vivienne and myself have kept mindful of throughout the itinerary. So this will be a safe space with a lovely group of like-minded individuals in beautiful surroundings. So thank you, Mel and Nat, for talking us through the program. Vivienne, if you wouldn't mind talking us through the itinerary and, you know, kind of matching that to what Mel and Nathalie have described for their objectives of the retreat.
Sure. So we plan to gather in Abuja before starting the whole safari program. And November 8th is the date that we'll fly into the Serengeti together. There is something really, really magical about Serengeti. I think it's the expanse of the land and the fact that there are all these animals that live together as part of the ecosystem. So that's where we'll begin our journey. So we'll spend 4 nights at Owari Camp, which is close to the Mara River. October is towards the end of the Great Migration season, so there is a chance to see wildebeest possibly crossing the river. And it's a natural phenomenon, so we'll see how lucky we are when we're there. For the duration of our stay in the Serengeti, we can have different sessions in different settings, and that's why it's so magical. So one day we plan to have a session at Simba Kopi, which is a rock formation not too far from Orari Camp. And another day we plan to have a sunrise hot air balloon, which is at the moment set as an additional activity that's optional depending on whether people actually feel like having the experience. I understand that some people may be afraid of the flight, but it's really magical. And after spending 4 nights in Serengeti, we'll fly to Manyara airstrip and then have a transfer to get to Gibbs Farm, which is located just outside of Ngorongoro crater. So Gibbs Farm is another magical place, which is in a very different setting from the Serengeti. The Serengeti during the season is dry, so the colors are a bit different. You get some yellowy kind of hues, whereas Gibbs is pretty much green and lush all year round, plenty of water in the area, and the farm itself is beautiful. They have vegetables grown in the garden, they have farm animals, they have coffee plantations. So that's where we'll spend the next 3 nights with a day trip to Ngorongoro crater, which is caldera that's 3 million years old, and it's one of the places that people really fall in love with, where you can actually see animals, many different species just in the same setting. So that's when we'll wind up the retreats. It's possible to have spa treatments there before we move on with our lives and feeling transformed after the journey.
One question we might get or have gotten in the past is this a yoga retreat? And again, Melanie, hop in, but yoga may be something that you can experience, particularly at Gibbs Farm. They do have yoga practitioners there, but that is, it'll come as part of that experience rather than this being a yoga retreat, if anyone is wondering that. But Gibbs presents, we've actually left the last day of the itinerary open so that people can then, by then we'll know each other very well. It'll give us space to interact or retreat even further, to give some further time for journaling and consolidation, having some lovely spa treatments, wandering around the grounds of the farm, etc., etc. The other thing that I wanted to address is, you think of safari, is that going to be massively active? Will you have to walk for long distances, perhaps? While we will be doing some walking, there will be meditative short walks. There might be a short hike as part of the Ngorongoro experience. You might have the opportunity to visit a waterfall. It would be very manageable and not onerous. And that's worth knowing, because if you are expecting a hike, this is not a hiking holiday, but there would be an opportunity for some meditative and supportive activity as part of the retreat. But there is nothing that one needs to fear in terms of level of fitness. And we will be, the wonderful thing about how Mel and Nat work is they're incredibly flexible. So once we know who the group is, and we're getting a sense of that already, but once we know who the group is, we will tailor it to what everyone is wanting to experience. And that's the magic of those various individuals coming together, is part of the wonderful experience. So any further questions, we will have our connection details at the end of this recording. Please feel free to reach out, and we would love to welcome you and love to meet you and see you all there. Thank you, Nat and Mel and Vivienne, for your time, and see you in Tanzania.
Thank you. Thank you. So excited.
Likewise.
Karibu sana.